Alrighty, hey, true believers and fellow theme park fans. In this case, Disney Plus fans, I guess. WandaVision, world's #1 TV show. Alrighty, now I apologize. We should have done this on Friday. We had things to do. We're looking for a new place, so we're a couple of days late. And I wanted to give you the first. You get the first shot here, Dalton, because I know you're big into the mystic side of the Marvel universe and even the DC universe. You love the mystical heroes. I figured, you know what, I'll let you go off first, and then I am going to trounce damn near everything you say. So
okay. Okay. So like it's fine. It's fine. And like I keep having to remind myself that despite all my criticisms, and there are an ocean's worth of them, it's fine. It's nowhere near as bad as Endgame, which was a complete and utter just black pill.
Of awesomeness.
For me at least. It was the absolute like I demand 10 years worth of my time and my effort back. MCU.
No.
But with WandaVision, it wasn't that bad, but it was very much the same sort of problem that I had with Infinity War and Endgame. Don't put the good stuff in before the ending. Go out with a bang, not a whimper, you absolute jackanapes. Is the thing I keep doing, because they keep setting up all this really, really good, interesting things, and then I'm like, okay, now we get to the part that I'm actually excited for. Now we get to the part where I'm actually gonna fanboy, and it's like, and nope. And in this case, it was a little bit worse because it had more potential even than Endgame did, in my opinion. And then half of the stuff that was, the stuff that was keeping you on the edge of your seat, the stuff that was keeping you engaged, is irrelevant. Like who the frick is the rabbit that she's, been using as her quasi-familiar for the whole season? Oh, no, nobody important. We're never gonna find out. Who was Evan Peters? Was he Quicksilver? Was he Nick Scratch? Was he Chthon? Was he Mephisto? It's like, no, he was. We Mandarined him. He's a Mandarin style dick joke because reasons.
Disney Channel, dude. Disney Channel.
But yeah. But point being, if you're going to give us the restrained ending, don't open up all these Pandora's boxes that you have no intention of paying off. If you're going to do it, then do it. If you're gonna build this entire enterprise on my investment and my desire for interconnected storytelling, then don't get halfway there and then pull out the rug. Don't do it.
Alrighty. Now I'm going to bulldoze right over, because I've been telling you for years now that we've been doing this. You always anticipate. You always look and go, oh my gosh, it's really cool because this and this and this. They're going to bring in this. They're going to bring in that. You and I are different on one thing. You love spoilers, or at least they don't bother you. I try to avoid them at all costs. I really hate spoilers. There's a couple of reasons for this. One of the things is because I want everything to be fresh, but another one is so I don't go into watching something with some sort of expectations. I see a lot of this on Twitter. I see a lot of this on YouTube, even New Rock Stars, Emergency Awesome. There's a whole bunch of channels out there that break things down and go, well, this could mean this and that can mean that. And here we have this, and this would lead to this. And you kind of get, and I fell for it too, a little bit. Hey, look, in the comic book, Mephisto first shows up as a fly, and they focused on that fly. What does that mean? Mephisto's name in the comic book was Ralph. What does that mean? So we keep looking, and in our minds, we built, because we're watching all of this stuff about the shows, and we're interacting with thousands of people with thousands of different interpretations of what's gonna happen. And now I can't wait for Mephisto to go through. to the point where when it does come up and we don't see what we want, it is a little bit disappointing. Now I've got it. Hold on. I see you're trying to burst, but trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. I had to watch this show twice. This episode had to be watched from me twice, because the first time I watched it very much like you right there, because I wanted to see Evan Peterson become Mephisto, or the kid, what's his name? The Agatha's child, or Cthulhu, whatever his name is.
Chthon.
Sure, if that's what you want to call him, fine.
And by the way, my
works
money is still on Chthon for later, but let's not get into that
Now,
yet.
here's the thing. Something I said last stream, something I said before. What I think is going to happen, because with all the stuff that we were expecting with episode 9, and it's the ending, we both said, unless it's movie length, they're going to have to leave off about 1,000 things, and it's all going to be continued in Doctor Strange, or it's all going to be continued somewhere else. That this episode was not going to be able to do everything they had set up. We knew this going in. So the first time I saw this, I have to admit, Dalton, I had every one of the same feelings you're going through. I was like, no payoff for this. I didn't want to see the scroll at the end. I wanted to see the transformation into hell. I wanted to see Nightmare at the very least. Let's go with that little thing. I wanted to see something that would tell us what was going on.
It didn't have to be big. It just had to be. It had to be something, and that's the
Right.
and that's where I'm currently at with it. It's like,
by the way, Colin H.
Go ahead,
just
sorry.
So sorry about that. Hello to Colin H. Sorry to interrupt you. Feel free, guys,
no problem.
to include with the include yourself in the conversation. Tell us what you're feeling and thinking about the episode. Yeah, you're right. It didn't have to be big. Just a little hint that it was Mephisto, or just a little hint that it was Chthon guy, whatever his name is. Something that would have given us a little bit more of who the villain is behind everything. Now, we did get something at the end where Tommy, I think it is yelling for help, which means, this is somebody who went away. So I
think it's Billy, because it makes slightly more sense for it to be Billy, because Billy has Wanda's power. So if anyone's going to be able to reach through the multiverse, it's probably going to be Billy / Wiccan.
That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah,
but he's calling for help. Now, here's the thing: you and I, as comic book readers, we know that the kids came from a part of Mephisto. Alrighty, well, we can't look at it as the comic books. We have to look at it as this is the show itself. Everything is coming from the show, not the comics. It's inspired.
Right, and that's fair, which is why my money is still on Chthon eventually, when all this gets revealed, for a few reasons. But
it's only inspired by the comics. And you know what? I'm gonna go out on something. I said this about The Walking Dead. I'll say this about this one. Good, because I've got the comic book. I can read the comic book any day. If you wanna give me a new version of the movie, granted, I got to admit, there's a part of me anytime it deviates. Anytime Age of Ultron is, oh, by the way, I finally got Age of Ultron. I went to my Ollie's and I found it. It was there. So I've never read it before. And then I found out it's written by Brian Michael Bendis. So.
Then it's like, well, if you could do that, then why did you? Yeah, but Bendis is a different story.
I don't know. LK is saying, "Are you sure it's really the boy and not just her fractured mind?" See, that might be it too. But that's the whole point. The whole point is these stories are only inspired by the comics, so they can branch off anywhere. What's the problem is, I'm going to blame New Rockstars for your reaction. I'm going to blame Emergency Awesome. I'm going to blame all these, and the fact that you watch them and you and I talk about it even, and we say, "Ooh, it's going to be this guy, and it's going to be that."
Well, that's the thing. I don't really watch Emergency Awesome or New Rockstars, at least not nearly as much as I used to, because back before I met you guys, I was very starved for comic book content, so I would suffer through the plastic channels just to get my fix somehow. But with this is me doing it to myself because it hurts worse because this is my area. This is the part that I theoretically should, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. To me, the street level stuff, the vigilante stuff, the grounded stuff, that's just the opening act. And the opening act is good and all, but can we get on with the show is always my reaction. Like,
and the cool
are
thing
we actually going to get what I paid for, kind of thing?
The cool thing is it does look like the Marvel Universe is steering into the comics a lot harder, even than when it began. When it began, Iron Man, they tried to make him more grounded than even he became in movie number 3. Definitely by the time we're getting the talking squirrel in the tree, okay, yeah, we're full on in comic book mode, but now we're going to get the Eternals. Now we're going to get Doctor Strange 2 and all that, which sounds like they're going to open up and really become the comic book world. Fingers crossed, because once again, what you could do in a comic book is way different than what you could do in a movie, because a comic book, you know, costs $200 a page if you're getting Jim Lee, and you know, a movie costs
and I don't need it, and I don't need it to be identical. I just need the world building to be there. That's my thing. Like,
well,
you want to change it. You want to change it to Mephisto, or you want to change it to Chthon, or you want to change it to Nightmare. I don't really care, as long as it's one of them, you know, kind of thing. Like, you want to.
I'm gonna throw this out to you. First of all, let me get this right here. LK saying, my gut is that the scene is a reason for Doctor Strange 2. He senses a problem with the multiverse, finds out it's Wanda, and she ends up being the villain of the movie. And in the end, will be him pulling Wanda from the brink, helping her the way that we've seen her helped in the books. And that made
I think it was Avengers Disassemble that she was having an emotional breakdown, and he basically did for Wanda what he did for Mary Jane in the classic Spider-Man animated series episode, which, by the way, that Spider-Man the animated series episode with Doctor Strange, where he's played by John Vernon, or voiced by John Vernon, is still, in my opinion, the gold standard for how you do Doctor Strange outside of the comics. By the way, if anyone's curious,
I'm going to play producer for a moment of the TV show. You've got a story, and this is all about Wanda's grief. You know, if you watch the episodes, you realize the first one was denial. You know, and you're going through the stages of grief.
She's escaping into her default mode, which apparently is like classic sitcoms.
Okay,
to escape her grief and all this.
Now,
and that's fine.
In my opinion, for as much as we wanted at the end, we wanted Mephisto to rise and all that kind of stuff. Think about what the themes are and the story is. They did it fine, because they threw in hints and they threw in things that are going to come up. Granted, we got Agatha, which is nice. I wanted that post-end credit scene, but if they had thrown the devil into the middle of this story, or even at the end, then it would have become about Mephisto and not about Wanda. Wanda had to get over her grief. That's the central theme of the story. That was the point of the story. If you threw in Mephisto, it would have been this last minute kind of thing. I like the fact that, yes, we got the fly and we've got the rabbit and we've got
she's reading the Darkhold, which means if Wanda has the Darkhold, then more importantly, the Darkhold also has Wanda, which is important, because if you know anything about the Darkhold, you know that is some seriously bad juju to be a little bit cheeky about it. Like, that is about as dark as you can go within the context of the Marvel Universe. And that's her like introduction to witchcraft, which I'm imagining Doctor Strange's reaction to this when he finds out that her first like exposure to magic was the Darkhold. You basically got the worst possible introduction you could have gotten. Oof.
Yeah. So I don't want to make any predictions because I don't want to mess up Doctor Strange 2. I can tell you right now that I am more enthused for the second Doctor Strange movie than I have been. Going back to the post-credit scenes, I have to admit that it's because the Skrulls are associated with the Captain Marvel movie, I find myself not even interested a little. And even though it's got Monica Rambeau, my Captain Marvel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the good Captain Marvel.
Outside of Billy Batson, everybody puts that out
well,
there.
Yeah, obviously, but we're not. We're not getting Shazam to ever be Captain Marvel again.
There's going to be no Shazam movie that's titled Captain Marvel. No. But here's the thing. Because the Skrulls are associated with the Captain Marvel movie, I'm not interested. So it's like, we got to go up there. Like, nobody cares about you, Captain Marvel. The only reason I'm interested at all in Captain Marvel 2 is I want to see Brie Larson and Carol Danvers get her clock absolutely cleaned by Monica Rambeau, and I want to see Monica Rambeau become a proper Captain Marvel. And as long as we're playing the DC or the Disney producers game, Disney, unlikable white woman or likable woman of color. Even if we want to play the social justice game, let's go with that. I'm sorry, but I'm not a big. Okay. Anyway, LK saying overall, I was satisfied. We got a 5-hour movie. Imagine how truncated this would have been if they tried to do it in a 2 and 2.5 hour movie. Yeah, he's right. Oh
God, it would have been terrible.
It would have been all action. You know what would be worse? And this is something we didn't get. This show. And now I guess I'm talking about the overarching series, but this show, you didn't have dramatic scenes that were then ruined by a stupid freaking joke.
Oh my God.
They let the drama
it made the humor so much more welcome and so much more gratifying when it did show up. When Agatha was basically trolling the entire time, it made it so much more welcome because it wasn't every 5 minutes.
I wish Marvel Universe would really stop that. Great. I love a sense of humor too. I think that it definitely was needed in the script of Batman and Robin. I think that the humor in Justice League was forced, and it doesn't fit the characters that they set up. But
and that's the other thing. Keep it to the characters who it makes sense to do it with. Don't force characters who should be self-serious to.
Destroyed Asgard. They destroyed Asgard, and as they're watching Asgard explode, they make a sorry, my language. Oh, we gotta watch that, man. But they destroyed Thor, and then they made he's dead joke. Oh nope, he's alive. The heck's going on, guys? Come on, half of freaking Asgard's gone.
Yeah,
so
shut up, Korg.
I really am so glad that they let Wanda have the dramatic beats all throughout the show. Imagine in the first episode, which by the way, I would love to do a watch through, like a binge, where we could talk about the show now that we know what's going on, and we go, okay, well, here's here. But imagine that scene in the first episode, which I think is so haunting, where especially now that you know what's going on, where she's like, stop it. She's doing that bit. Imagine.
And then of course it gets revealed to have been Agatha all along. But
she says the stop it thing. Vision, help him. And he pulls out a baby Ruth that's not even wrapped. Ho, if you learn to swallow your food, hee. Stupid joke. It would have ruined the freaking scene, but they allowed the dramatic bits to be the dramatic bits. They allowed the jokes to be the jokes. A lot of the humor, I think, in the show came from the ridiculous setting, because we're like, okay, why are you in Dick Van Dyke's house? Why are you in the Brady Bunch house? Why are you in the full Family Ties house?
It was much more satisfying if you were a fan of classic sitcoms. By the way, if you were like me and you were raised on like TV Land and Nick at Night as a kid, or you're like Eglantine and you remember most of it from when you were a kid or from when you were growing up, it does help things considerably to know the sitcom tropes.
LK saying my biggest disappointment with the finale was how Monica got shelved for the last 2 episodes. She's in the background. She's not even a part of it. It's like they gave her that one bullet scene to do just so you could remember she's in the show. I agree. She really was nothing in the last episodes. I do like the fact,
and
however,
then of course the freaking.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
I do like the fact that they showed off how fast she was. You know, when he was shooting the gun and it went into her, and you see all the inertia get pulled out. Also, she watched as that bullet went by. And I thought, okay, that's pretty good. That's a little flash moment from Justice League, but it would have been, she could have just went beep. They wanted to show off the Billy's powers, but it would have been kind of cool if she went and just kind of threw it on the ground. But had she done that, I would have liked the special effect to actually be a fast ricochet, not just drop it on the ground, but the fact that she could change the momentum of the bullet just by grabbing. But that's just me, and that didn't change my dislike or like for the show at all. Let's see. LK saying, Dalton, that's not going to happen. Monica and Carol are going to be bestest friends ever. LK saying, oh God, you are so righty. I keep saying. Let's see. That's Whedon for you. That's because progressives don't know how to do humor that normal human beings understand. I know, right? That's the biggest problem with the MCU in my opinion.
Well, you need to understand human nature to understand humor, because one of the things about humor is it kind of happens when the human brain has a glitch or a crash. Like that's what laughter kind of is. It's our brain going, what the hell is going on? Kind of, sorry. But yeah, you need to understand how human psychology works to understand humor, and they don't.
LK saying he thinks it's more of her leeching the energy from the bullet rather than actually being as fast. So that's a way to look at it. And the fact that he and I were raised on syndicated stations that would play the old sitcoms. One of the best things, if you're ever sick from school when you were a little kid, is the channel 35. You only had 2 UHF channels that you had to between rather than just click. There would actually be sitcoms all throughout the day. Usually for me, it was Andy Griffith, Gomer Pyle, and and shows like that, all the black and whites, Dick Van Dyke and all that kind of stuff, which became one of my favorite shows of all time.
For me, it was Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie that I usually, when I got stuck home at school or home from school, I would always watch Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, and I gotta tell you, want to hear a great childhood? We came home from school, and before we did our homework, it was snack time with the Monkees and Batman. So that was awesome. That's how I became such a big Monkees fan, is because we would all. It was actually 2 hours worth, but because I remember afterwards it was the Addams Family. It was those 2 shows and then the Addams Family, and that's just great TV right there, man. Staying home sick from school, make game shows in the morning, sitcoms and cartoons in the afternoon at night. Yeah, good times. Yep. But okay, so I get it. You thought this episode was meh. First time I saw it, I agree with you. But second time I saw it, I was like, no, they stuck it. They got this show. It's there. Everything that needed to happen. Once I got rid of my own expectations, everything that needed to be done was done, and it was done well. And had they did,
it could have been worse.
The only thing I
much worse is
the only thing I put to where I think they failed was the end credit scenes. Yes, this long pause. Please now tell your opinion.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, my reaction is still, despite all my criticisms of it, it's fine. I'm not in the mood for this is just fine. I'm in the mood for, okay, I'm ready and raring to go for the next one thing. Because, like I said, Endgame for me was a massive, massive middle finger and a massive disappointment. So I needed something like WandaVision to kind of get me back on board. I needed something to convince me, like, this is all leading somewhere. And for the most part, you know, in the 7 or 8 episodes leading up to this, I was thinking that I was getting there. Like,
Yep.
okay, you know, it took you an extra phase, but at least, you know, we're getting to the stuff I actually want to get to now. But, you know, that's my biggest problem with the MCU. It's always set up, and then move the goalpost for the next one. It's never actually providing the payoff. It's always give us 5 more minutes and we'll maybe give you you know, payoff in the next one. And it's like, okay, I believed you for the first 10 years of this, and then you gave me what amounted to a glorified time travel clip show with Endgame. So will you ever actually give people, in my case, what we came here for? Give me the cosmic, give me the weird, give me something here. I feel almost like I'm in an abusive relationship with the MCU at this point. It's like I keep mentally convincing myself, no, surely the MCU loves its fans. No, surely they're actually going to pay it off sooner or later. And I'm getting to the point now where it's like, I have given you and given you and given you, and you keep just moving the goalpost to the next one. And like you said, I'm more excited for Doctor Strange now. But for one thing, that wasn't a hard thing to get me excited for in the first place, because I am probably the biggest Doctor Strange stan on the internet. But also now there's even more pressure on Doctor Strange 2. So if they screw it up like they did the 2016 one, I'm gonna be even more ticked off, because you moved the excitement goalpost from the end of WandaVision to the beginning of Doctor Strange, and now if you screw that one up or you make me wait again, I'm just gonna be more mad at you.
Okay. But so for you, the journey was better than the destination, or in all honesty, I think if I was to translate that down, it would sound like you're saying that WandaVision was all journey. There is no destination. There's no, even though there's an emotional ending where she finally said goodbye to Vision, she accepted the death. She accepted.
Yeah, and it was good to give Wanda some character development, but that's basic. That's, you know, that's the starting line. That's not the finish line, in my opinion.
But it sounds like you're saying that WandaVision didn't have the true ending, that they're hoping that the true ending is Doctor Strange 2. That's I'm getting from.
I'm beginning to worry that they're gonna do the same thing in Doctor Strange 2. Like at the end of Doctor Strange 2, they're gonna pull it again, and I'm just gonna be like, one of the things that the Marvel universe truly needs is consequences. It really does. That's what's missing. Yep. There just isn't. It in comic books, because it's ongoing. There is Stan Lee's illusion of change, where you can have them change, but eventually you're going to have it reset and go back to a certain normal, which is hard for long-term comic book readers like ourselves, where we're thinking, yeah, but I've read this story. How many times can I read Spider-Man beat up the Rhino, you know? So I need to know that they're going forward sometimes. And of course we get some progression and we're like, ooh, wow, yeah, we love this. We love this. And then they say, okay, well, we're going to give Spider-Man to Dan Slott. Oh, crap. You know, and we just realized everything's wiped back away. And it can't work that way in movies, because movies are more finite than comic books are. Comic books are monthly stories, and we've been getting Superman now for 80 years, Wonder Woman for 80 years. You know, they could keep going and changing and doing all sorts of stuff. One thing also I think that Marvel Universe is shooting itself in the foot is they're not realizing something that I know and I've realized a long time. If Marvel is a studio, that means their franchises are Thor. Their franchises are Captain America and Spider-Man and Wanda and Vision, Ant-Man and Wasp. They're not a franchise. So if you're going to have an arc, you have to make sure that your character, if you're going to do 3 movies, has a 3-movie story arc for that character. So even before you lay down movie 1, if you're planning on 3 of them, make sure that you have at least a subplot that moves the character forward. Give us somewhere to go that's actually going to pay off somehow.
and make it feel like there's consequences. Kill off characters. That's fine. The only character to have this arc is Captain America. I've said this before. I'll say it again. The best franchise in the Marvel Universe
so far
has been Captain America. Because start him off at the very beginning and take him all the way to Civil War. And you do have somebody who grew, and you even have him return to form, and we realize who he is and what he is when he repeats the line from the first movie to Tony Stark.
Yeah. I can do this all day, which is quintessential Captain America. That is his thing. Is no matter what the world throws at me, I can withstand it, and that's why we like Cap, because he is the guy who goes, when the world throws all kinds of crap at him, no, I'm not moving. You move.
That's one thing that Iron Man tried to do, but then they kind of ruined it with Age of Ultron. You had Tony Stark, who got himself blown up, creates a suit of armor, decides he's going to protect the world with this armor. He's going to be the world police, so to speak. Then at the end of the third movie, he's like, no, I'm retiring, blows up all the armor. Okay, he gets it. He lets himself go of his fear. And then Ultron comes back, boom.
And it's like, oh, well.
Everything is right back in the can, baby.
Relapse.
Yeah, so and it just goes to show the longer that if you're going to have your story arcs, you got to have this story arc. But they ended 3 wrong because with Iron Man they just messed it up when you keep going, because now he's starting at least at movie 2 where he's paranoid and he wants to protect the world. Let's see. LK says, I know some people complained of WandaVision, how all the male characters were either villains or cowering subservient to women, but the show was called WandaVision. Bottom line, it's her story, so it didn't bother me.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I actually got into an argument with somebody about this earlier today, because I made the mistake of watching, I believe it was Odin's movie blog review of WandaVision, and he was pulling all, he was doing the chasing ghost thing of like interpreting social justice where there was no social justice to be had. And even people in the comments of his video were doing it. Like, I literally had to explain to somebody that, Wanda is a bad person at the end of WandaVision because they're setting her up to be a villain, right? You saw her reading the Darkhold, right? And somebody in the comments of that video started arguing with me because Hollywood will never let a woman be a villain. And I'm like, how are you extrapolating that? Are you saying that because you actually have a theory or evidence or reason to believe that?
Thor Ragnarok had a female villain, dumbass.
And I'm like, okay, so I asked this person, do you have any reason to think that, or is that just your default cynicism talking? And he literally, and I posted this on Twitter for anyone that wants to see it. He literally starts bitching about, Disney Channel.
I've done it a couple times. Just
he literally starts.
Away.
Yeah, he literally starts whining about. Because the media lets Antifa off the hook, and I'm like, what in God's name does that have to do with any freaking thing ever? I explained to him what I thought was the most reasonable course of action after this, which was Wanda's going to be the villain or a villain in Doctor Strange 2. They might make her a sympathetic one, and they are probably going to make it so that somebody else is pulling her strings, like Mephisto, Chthon, whoever, and they're probably going to give her a redemption arc. But for at least the time being, she's a villain, and probably, in all honesty, she's probably going to have another emotional breakdown at the end of Doctor Strange 2 or whenever. And she's going to accidentally create or activate the mutants.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this right here. I want to save Doctor Strange 2 for you. Get all that out of your head. You have no freaking clue what's going to happen. All you know is at the end of this movie, she's reading the Darkhold. We hear Billy's voice. Outside of that, you're creating a movie for yourself right now that you want to see. It ain't going to happen. Do you know how I know? It's never happened. No, in no way, shape, or form has anything you've ever created in your head, it's going to do this and it's going to do that, you are Charlie Brown running towards the freaking football. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna see the Mystic Universe. Oh, Marvel's gonna bring it, and they whip that thing right, woo, boom, right on your back.
Well, okay, you can't have it both ways. You can't sell me on my investment and sell me on interconnectedness, and then every time
they are. You're selling yourself on that. Both of us did it. You saw The Fly. Oh my gosh, Mephisto. Oh wait, the kids come from Mephisto. I'm going to get this.
I didn't.
Even you are saying, because you saw her in the Darkhold, reading the Darkhold, you just gave us a plot of Doctor Strange 2. You gave us at least 40 minutes of that movie that is not even finished, or not even, I don't even know if they've got a full script. I mean, but you already
they haven't finished it, but yeah. I'm basically doing what Marvel should do, which is thinking ahead and making sure it makes sense at the end of the day, because that's all I really care about, is based on what we're given and based on where based on the direction we're going in, what makes the most sense. And what makes the most sense is,
I'll tell you what, I'm going to help you out here. Okay. This is, and I understand you're a brilliant guy. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm definitely not talking down to you. Well, I'm going to give you one element. Okay. One element that you need to put in your head when you're thinking of all this great stuff that's going to be in a movie. So that way your expectations are at least not lowered, but based a little bit more in reality. Okay. And I'm not saying that as an insult. All right. I want you to give yourself a budget and then think about what they're going to do. Because one thing, your imagination is based on the comics, and I love it, but comics don't have the budget that a movie does.
They have Disney, they have Marvel, they have MCU money. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but there's still a budget. So, and remember that Doctor Strange is not going to have the budget that the Avengers has. That's just the way.
Well, unfortunately, actually, it does seem like they're trying to pull a Civil War with it, and that, in all honesty, ticks me off, because Doctor Strange shouldn't be that central to the universe.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's, and I've always said this. Doctor Strange's purpose involves him not getting the credit. Okay, when Doctor Strange is doing his job correctly, you shouldn't even notice that he's there, because
he's hanging out even right now in the corner. I swear. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, like I always reference, there's a great line in the second Matrix movie that to me perfectly sums up Doctor Strange, when the Oracle is talking about every time you hear somebody talk about seeing an angel or a ghost, system assimilating some program that's not doing something they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, okay.
The ones that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you don't ever hear about. That to me is very symbolic of Doctor Strange. If he's doing his job, he doesn't get the credit, because he shouldn't get the credit. His job is to make sure that the laws of physics become, stay the laws of physics and don't become the strongly worded letters and civil ordinances of physics. His job is to make sure that your nightmares don't literally eat you alive, and to make sure the sun comes up tomorrow. So if he's doing his job right, you shouldn't notice that he's there. And making him like Captain America and being the linchpin of the entire universe makes no freaking sense and doesn't fit the spirit of the character. And I care more about fitting the spirit of the character than I do about the big blockbuster credit, basically.
Okay. Well, let's see. Goes, there is no true ending. Keep your expectations low. You will be better off after Endgame. I have no expectations. An MCU movie will be good.
Yeah, I know. It was a black pill. I agree.
I liked Endgame. I don't care what you guys say. Colin's saying he loves Captain America. That's, in my opinion, the best franchise of the MCU. LK says face planted the ending with him going back in time. I actually didn't mind that ending to Captain America. I thought it was a really good way to wrap up the character. I do have a problem, and will always have a problem, with Falcon being given the shield and them treating it like it's a promotion. I like Falcon as a character. I always have.
Yeah, he doesn't need the cap mantle.
Let Bucky. I think it would be a better character redemption and better character arc for Bucky to take the shield at this point, because he starts off as an assassin. They have the whole thing with Civil War Endgame where he's trying to get his mind back. And then he comes back. He ends up being Captain America for his best friend. So he goes from villain to hero. Much better story arc than Falcon, who goes from being the hero to, wow, now I get to take my friend's name.
Honestly, I'll do you even one better, and this actually kind of fits with the Falcon Winter Soldier thing. Mm-hmm. You know how Thanos split the shield in half in, I think it was Infinity War? Well, why don't you have him give one half of it each to Bucky and Sam, and then have them basically be a buddy cop duo? Because, and this is the thing that they never ever remember about Captain America, he has the super soldier serum, so he is literally superhuman. Neither Bucky nor Sam. I mean, you could make the argument with Bucky because Winter Soldier, but neither Bucky nor Sam have that to the same degree. And even if they did, the whole point of Captain America is good becomes great, bad becomes worse. It's like the speech that the Dr. Erskine gave in the first movie. Neither of them can fill the void, the Paragon void of Captain America. So have them be a buddy cop duo, and essentially both of them work together to try to fill that void instead of one of them having to take it.
But it raises all those questions. If he went back in time with all of his knowledge, he didn't do anything to prevent any of it, because then he could not have his ending with his girl.
Yeah.
And at this point, Captain America's arc, of course, he first shows up, and he's very much the patriotic, the flag waver.
Yeah.
He'll do what he can for the government, unquestioning. Then we go to Winter Soldier. He realizes that the government wants to govern out of fear and he starts to question these things. With the Civil War, he breaks away from that and he becomes his own man.
Yeah, the staunch individualist.
So by the time he gets to Endgame and he saved the world, he's done all this. He's done. He knows for all the basic evils in the world, that there will always be basic evils in the world. He deserves his time with his girl.
Yeah.
I know it makes Captain America a little bit selfish in this one, but I get the arc. He goes back to retire. The world is saved. He's done his bit. So he's just like, okay, let me be me. Have a good day. I'm going to.
And this is also presumably after about a decade of bouncing from time period or timeline to timeline, returning the Infinity Stones, remember? And let's also remember that it takes a lot physically out of you to even touch the Infinity Stones. So yeah, he's earned a break by the end.
Yeah. Let's see. And then people are dumb sometimes and don't expect other people's opinions. I always listen, try to respect, but you got to realize that just because I don't like, or just because you guys don't like the end game doesn't mean I have to hate it. I love it. I always say this: if you watch a movie if we watched the same movie and you liked it, I didn't, that means you were luckier than I am. That's all. Because we both spent the same 2 hours. LK saying, can we bring back Master Pandemonium? That was the guy with the kid hands. That would be interesting. Colin saying, that's what I think. That's why people didn't like WandaVision, because they're that's what I'm saying. A lot of it came from, we were expecting certain things, but we have to follow the story. And how would have a lot of the wild conspiracies really served the story of Wanda, coming to grips with the death of everybody in her life, really. Let's see. If you realize that Sam is no different than Hawkeye, except Hawkeye should be able to kick the holy hell out of Sam.
Yeah.
Sam is your basic military guy. Hawkeye's black ops kind of crazy crap. So by rights, I mean he's on par with Black Widow. And if you want to tell me that Natasha couldn't hand Sam his posterior, or then I have a bridge to show you at the bottom of the ocean. One thing I actually liked, one change I liked in the Ultimate Universe was they gave Hawkeye Bullseye's power also. I love that change. I'm A-okay with that being status quo for Hawkeye, for him to have that power where he can hit the bullseyes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because that
know
that at least explains why he's a core member of the Avengers. Whereas even in the movies, they kind of just throw like, I'm just a guy with an arrow, and it's just
You know
like,
what, though? Or what would even be better is you find out it's not a superpower at all. He just trained himself.
yeah, that's another good thing too, and yeah, that would be nice.
Cop out. He should have worked in the shadows. No, it's once again, it's you writing for Captain America. It's not a cop out. It's two different versions. It's two different stories.
Well, and also that's
and
not.
Also, and here's the thing: you don't know that he didn't. We just haven't seen those stories.
Yeah, there's that, and there's also the fact that doesn't really fit Steve's character. For as much as he is the aw shucks, moral paragon character, he also gets a kind of a great degree of personal satisfaction out of being the all-American aw shucks, mom baseball apple pie kind of guy. So if he were to get out, get back in the game, as it were, I don't think he could be subtle about it, because Steve doesn't do subtle. He's never really done subtle. Even before the super soldier serum, he was the guy who, when somebody mocked the propaganda movie that they were watching, was like, you want to take this outside. Meanwhile, he's my size, and still gonna get his posterior handed to him, and yet still manages to do the I can do this all day thing.
Now, I'll tell you what, though, I do appreciate the and it erases all of Agent Carter that LK is saying. Unfortunately, Marvel erased Agent Carter, and that was one of the best TV shows.
It was so good.
I love that TV show. Good. Nobody freaking watched it. What were you guys not thinking, ladies and gentlemen, who didn't watch Agent Carter? It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really great, and also season 2 came out right around the time.
Hold on. Now, LK, I hate that. Absolutely 100% I hate that. You have sat there and you have listened to every word I said. I have every single word I said. So when did I say that Captain America likes to watch people suffer?
Yeah,
please go back and tell. Don't make stuff up so you can argue that stuff. Just by all means, argue the points I made. That's fine. But man, you know me. I don't go for that. Sam, it depends. I thought the MCU made him air rescue. It does matter. It means he can escape Clinton and Natasha. Yeah, of course.
Assuming he has his wings.
I will say this. I do like the Cap Falcon outfit. I do like that. There's a little statue of the Falcon in that outfit. I always thought that was kind of cool.
I mean, it does look nice. It's a shame that they never actually do anything with it, because the sensible thing to do would be to create another dose of the super soldier serum and give it to Sam. If you're honestly gonna make Cap Falcon a thing, then remind yourself that what makes Cap, at least in part, is the super soldier serum. Yeah. The other part of what makes Cap is the person that the super soldier serum is injected into, which is why Steve Rogers is important. It's the whole good becomes great, bad becomes worse thing. It's what separates Captain America from the Red Skull, because the Red Skull was a Nazi to begin with. And so it made him a super Nazi, whereas Steve Rogers was the golden boy to end all golden boys, and so it made him the most adorable human being on the face of the earth.
Okay, so LK is not letting go of this. You are saying he was done. He just wanted to live a quiet life. So by extension, meaning, okay, we have to think outside of the argument. He knew people would be hurt during certain events, and instead of preventing it, he let it happen.
Okay, let me provide a fix for this for you, because I can actually, in the space of about a sentence, fix this for you. He had to go and return the Infinity Stones to their respective eras, which means he would have met the Ancient One. And she probably told him, don't meddle, because if you meddle, it's going to create a bunch of splinter universes.
Well, he had been told that by the Hulk as well.
Yeah, so
you're right.
he knew that he couldn't meddle, because if he meddled, then it would basically mean that all that work he put in meant nothing.
He could have gone back in time and stopped World War II, or at least the bombing of Pearl Harbor. But that would have created all sorts of higgledy-piggledy. He could have done quite a bit that would have interrupted the time stream and such like this. The less he meddles with things, the less he screws up. So, and he knows this. So you can't say he wanted to, or he enjoyed, or anything like that, but he definitely understood that he had to let time play out. Putting any morality to it, or saying that somebody enjoyed it or hated or did anything like that, you don't really know, because of course you don't know somebody's mind. So there you go. Or in Doctor Strange, in the next MCU phase, when we see Doctor Strange, they are a woman, so we get women's versus one fight. I don't get where that's coming from.
Oh, what? I don't give them ideas, please.
I don't know. Yeah, I know, right?
Don't let them screw my character any harder than they already have, please.
Nothing says that Doctor Strange can't be played by a woman. It's a fictional character. You know what we need? You know what we need, Dalton? We need a little woman, okay? Because other than Peter Dinklage, there is not enough little people in the MCU. We need a little woman. You know what? There's not enough people in wheelchairs. We need a little woman in wheelchair. Oh my goodness gracious! Do you know how many?
As a person who's uses assistive technology of the sort, screw you.
I have never in my entire life, Dalton, you bigot, seen an Asian little person with red hair play a superhero. All right, okay, who's in a wheelchair. Doctor Strange is a fictional character.
we might as well give them green eyes as well while we're tacking off other stuff on Asian.
Now you are being less white, sir. Grab yourself a Coke. Alrighty, I know.
I'd like to buy the world a Coke and tell it to shut the ever-loving crap up. Already.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, let's not give them any ideas, or we will actually get the red-headed, green-eyed Asian woman in a wheelchair.
Let's see if Benedict Cumberbatch can actually do a satisfying performance as the character before we try to meddle, please.
He did in the first movie.
No, in Infinity War, you could make the argument, but basically, barring the last 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, he didn't show up until the last 5 to 10 minutes of Doctor Strange 2016 were all right, but before then, Stephen Strange basically didn't show up. And it made his characterization even more annoying, because he spontaneously pulled out of his backside his original characterization for the last 5 to 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, well, that's part of Marvel's problem. Yeah, I would love to see in the next phase of the MCU, they drop the origin story. I would love, let's just, okay, we know that superheroes are there. Whatever hero you bring up, drop the origin story. Let's just get right on into it.
No, I like the origin stories. It's just they need to stop screwing them up. Is the thing.
They can do it. They can do it very much like even Batman versus Superman. Either like a credit scene where it's doing it over the opening credits, or you can do. You could just do a back, what do you call it? A flashback, something like that.
Or heck, use the TV shows for that. Now that we have the TV shows as a thing, use the TV shows as the origin story.
The one thing I think they got right in Captain Marvel, is they didn't saddle us with this with 45 to an hour's worth of origin story.
Yeah.
That was the one, and I mean literally
the solitary single only thing they got right. Yes, I know.
Yeah, there's only 2 movies really that I refuse to watch anymore as far as superhero movies are concerned, and that's Captain Marvel and the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I don't blame you for those being your 2, man.
I'll watch Man Thing again. I'll watch. I've watched Vampirella 2 or 3 times. Steel, I've watched multiple times. I've even watched.
Which side note? Speaking of Man Thing, can we actually get Man Thing sooner or later, please? Now that we're getting into Darkhold and multiverse territory.
Okay, yes, Dalton. We all know you're the gay guy. You like the Man Thing. LK is saying the action, and you could dribble out the important origin stuff, and I that's the way I think it should be done, because we are, especially if it's somebody who's famous, like if it's definitely in whatever iteration of the Batman that's going to come out. Don't give us his origin story. Don't ever tell Superman's origin story. I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
Yeah, if it's somebody we already know, or who the vast majority of people who even haven't even read a comic or seen a movie already know, then let's move on. That being said, one of the things I liked about WandaVision was it was kind of the missing Wanda origin story that we never got in a lot of ways.
Do you know what origin story really ticked me off? I mean, it was just way too much time spent on telling the origin, and I thought if any origin story you should have gotten right in there during the credits, I kid you not, Beverly Hillbillies. Absolutely. The origin of the Beverly Hillbillies. If you ever go back and watch that movie, they spend 40 minutes talking about how Jed finds the oil and he goes to Beverly Hills. Like, what the freaking hell? Every week they did it in 2. Come and listen to the story about a man named Jed. They could have filmed the credit sequence to the TV show with the movie cast, gotten it out of the way.
Would have been fine, yeah. Which side note, speaking of WandaVision, all the sitcom tropes and stuff. Why no Beverly Hillbillies?
Oh, there you go. Right. Batman 89 did use the opening movie to cover the origin. See, that's all you just, yeah, I know, right? They had the kid and then it turned out not to be Batman, but you still got the origin story. And then you got the death of course, in the middle, and it was boom. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to say Wonder Woman. It just popped in my head. The Beverly Hillbillies did that. It was like, just all you got to do is come and listen to the story about a man named Jed. Poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. Then one day, Jed was shooting at some food, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude oil, that is. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. Kin folks said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California's the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is. Swimming pools, movie stars, the Beverly Hillbillies. Dang, 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 dang. Here's our movie. Bam, 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 ding, 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 ding. Done. There you go. The opening to the Beverly Hillbillies, 2 minutes. You would have had 30 more minutes for Ellie Mae bikini scenes, and that is what really the movie was.
and that would have gotten the Angwin seal of approval.
Yeah. Well, see, at the time, Ellie Mae was played by Erica Eleniak, and while, of course, she was a Playboy playmate, we just didn't have the internet the way you do now. But no, it's that's one thing I really hope that the MCU stays away from. As far as the last episode, as far as the whole WandaVision thing, man, I dug it from beginning to end. I do admit I did have to watch the last episode twice, because the first time I watched it, I was full of expectations.
Yeah. Yes. My ultimate takeaway is I just don't want this to be the last we've seen of Agatha, because I really, really loved Agatha, and I was surprised how much I really, really loved that character. Plus, now that the MCU is a Disney property, and of course, anyone who knows anything about Agatha Harkness probably knows she first appeared as Franklin Richards' nanny, and we're getting Fantastic Four soon. So, come the third Fantastic Four movie, all I'm saying, Marvel, is Agatha's a witch and she's a nanny. So, Mary Poppins references? ?
Oh, right. I'm pretty sure you would have gotten those anyway, because not but a couple of years ago we got.
I know. It's Mary Poppins, y'all, and all. But you see what I'm saying? Like, keep Agatha around if for no other reason than because Kathryn Hahn deserves an Emmy for WandaVision. as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of
given
people
that, given that in retrospect, now that we know that most of the things that we're building up to ended up being cop outs and trolling and teasing. Honestly, Catherine Hahn's Agatha Harkness is the only reason to watch WandaVision for me anymore. It was Agatha all along. So yeah, keep her around because she's amazing, and I want more of her.
I think that's a very popular sentiment that she is a lot of fun. Yeah, it is pretty cool.
And I mean, it's not like they didn't set it up, because Agatha said, eventually you're gonna need me, and given that Wanda's only real education in magic is that one rune trick that she picked up from Agatha and whatever she gets from the Darkhold. Which
did you notice on her costume the crown has a rune, and the belt has a rune as well. Mm-hmm. And they seem to be facing each other. So I was wondering if that was like a protection spell that she is putting on. That when she's wearing her costume, maybe there's a shield, maybe there's a protection for magic spell or something like that. Or
it might be that when she actually activates her magic while wearing her actual suit, her physical crown lights up with the energy crown that we saw her displaying in the mind space flashback.
And listen to this, or it's just a coincidence. I mean, that you gotta understand, that could happen, right?
Yeah, but that would be a waste. Even if the runes don't mean anything, I do want I hope that when Wanda uses her powers, her crown at least lights up. Because they already set up the energy crown thing, and it would add such a distinctive touch to her using her powers if the crown actually lit up when she used them.
Yeah. Alrighty. By the way, I do agree with Slitherclaw. Let's get on an America Chavez story, but it has to be written by Gabby Rivera. I've read the recent issue of America Chavez. It's boring. Paint by numbers. I'm so disappointed. It needs America Chavez. I don't think I would have ever said this before, but America Chavez needs Gabby Rivera. It needs. She does. Oh, and
I'm already grieving over the loss of potential with WandaVision. Don't make me feel the need to commit suicide over this.
I'm not kidding. I'm not there. There is no joking in this. The America Chavez comic is boring, and we need Gabby Rivera. Everybody needs a little more Gabby in their lives. So not really.
but keep her, for the love of God, out of the MCU version, because they're bringing America Chavez into Doctor Strange 2, and I will not be withstanding any of that. I can put up with the periodic disappointments of the cop outs and twists and the trolling, Marvel, but do not make me also, on top of all of that, have to deal with America Chavez, a la Gabby Rivera, existing in the MCU. Please.
America Chavez in Doctor Strange 2, I will give an A+ to the film if she goes, "Holy menstruation! It's Doctor Strange." That I am so If it's I don't care. As a matter of fact, the entire movie could be opening credits, America Chavez going, "Holy menstruation, it's Doctor Strange," and then end credits, and I would be like,
if that happens, I am going to open a hole to the multiverse myself, grab the Darkhold, summon a horde of demons, and go full Dracula from the Castlevania anime on this entire stinking dimension. You right.
All right. So WandaVision from beginning to end, do you think it's still held up? Would you still recommend it, even though you know the ending now?
Like I said, who's the only reason to watch the thing? It was Agatha all along.
Well, I disagree, but
who numbed the disappointing sting? It was Agatha all along. She made it watchable, maybe even bingeable. we took her for granted, and now I don't want to say so long, so long, so long, so long.
All righty. All right. I
Evan
disagree.
Peters with a red herring.
I think it was good all the way through. But there you go. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Dalton, of course, it's been fun. You mentioned how you are not interested in the least of doing this for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so I'll have to grab another part.
No, yeah, maybe Loki. Maybe Loki is the next one I'd be interested in doing.
I'll tell you what, if Eric wants, I'll drag his butt on for What If for sure, because I know he's a fan of that book. Sounds like a poor saber-toothed cotton in the tar pits. There you go. All righty, gang. Thanks for hanging out with us. As always, thank you very, very much for watching. And remember, have a zippity-doo-dah day. See you later, gang.